Hello folks, Dom Lawson here from Metal Hammer magazine with another one of those iron sandwich fiascos wherein I sit here talking rubbish and you sit there going, and it's all good. Today I'm going to talk to you about something that I guess, I can kind of talk about whatever the fuck I like really, which is part of the fun of it really, but in the main I talk about metal albums and I try and stick as closely to the stick as closely to the strict world of metal as possible, really, because that's kind of the point of this. But this one, I'm going to take you slightly more, I guess, rock waters, but not at the same time. Certainly more adventurous waters in many ways than a lot of the kind of straight ahead metal stuff that I talk about. But today I'm going to talk to you about our Lord and Saviour Ginger Wildheart and his brand new triple, I'll say that again, triple album, 555%. Now, the important thing to note about this album, actually, there are two important things to note. I'll get to the second one in a minute, but the first thing to acknowledge, really, is that this album was, financed, organised, whatever, through the PledgeMusic website. Now, if you don't know anything about the PledgeMusic website, it's I guess we have kind of bands like Marillion to thank for the whole notion, really. But basically, what it does is it enables artists to completely bypass record labels and the usual music industry bullshit, and to get their fans to pledge a certain amount of money towards the recording of an album. So therefore, if you pledge 20 quid or 15 quid or whatever, then once the artist's target of money has been reached, then the recording can take place, and everybody that's pledged the money will then get a copy of the CD at the end of it. What Ginger did was same as everyone else, I guess, on there to some degree. It said if you want to join in the fun, you pledge a certain amount of money, and depending on how much you pledge, you get a certain version of the album at the end of it. Now, there's a standard CD version, there's a triple CD version, because this is a triple album, 3 separate recording sessions, 30 songs. There's various different formats, I can't remember all of them, but anyway, there's a deluxe version which cost 100 quid or something, which includes vinyl versions of the album plus CD plus some artwork and all kinds of other stuff, and that's the one that I spent 100 quid on. I invested in that because despite the fact that I probably could have blagged a copy of the album for free in one form or another, I think this is a fucking fantastic way to approach putting music out there. And the thing with Ginger, aside from the fact that the man's a fucking genius, is the fact that he's incredibly prolific, and it seems a crying shame that somebody who can release 1 or 2 albums a year can't, because the music industry wheels grind forward so slowly, and because labels aren't willing to invest a lot of money in somebody that's going to keep making records that won't necessarily sell 1 million copies, but that will just do quite well, and that's not sufficiently exciting for record labels these days, when they're all whinging constantly about the fact that no one buys CDs anymore. So anyway, this PledgeMusic thing I think is incredibly worthwhile. I think it's a brilliant way of doing things. I think we're going to see a lot more of it in the future. I think arguably it's easier for well-established artists like Ginger, who already have a fan base, but there's nothing wrong with that. I think for younger bands too, I think it will become something that they can use once the kind of parameters of these things are kind of worked out. I think if you can get 100 people together to invest 10 quid and make a video, for instance, for £1,000 or whatever, then that is 100. Yeah, I got my maths right. Then that's a cool thing. But anyway, so Ginger's made this triple album, 3 separate recording sessions, 30 albums, 3 different. I guess 3. It is very much one coherent project, but it is 3 separate recording sessions, and each of the 3 CDs has a certain vibe that's kind of specific to it. But anyway, the 3 sets of songs, the 3 sets of 10 songs, were released via the PledgeMusic thing. You had to have signed up to get them, and were made available to download on MP3 last Friday and the 2 Fridays before that. There will be a final commercially available 10-song CD, the track listing of which I believe is being decided upon today. Today is Monday. But anyway, it's you know, it's that will be the one that you'll be able to get in the shops or whatever, which will feature. You know, I think the people who've invested in the album have voted for their favourite tracks on the album, and the 10 most popular tracks will end up being on the final CD. So there you go. But anyway, I'm not here to review that because that's only 10 songs and it's not that interesting to me particularly, because I've heard all 30, and 555%, which is the magical level of pledges that Ginger reached, you know, beyond his original desired target. It's, what can I say? I think, you know, I mean, Ginger has made a lot of music over the years, both with the Wildhearts and with a variety of other projects and solo records and all that kind of stuff. And I think one of the things that's important about Ginger is how ridiculously consistent he's been over the years. I think it goes without saying that he's one of our best songwriters, and you know, and also that he's one of our most versatile. Really, that, you know, his stuff has ranged from the poppiest of pop songs through to the heaviest of metal and every point in between, including a lot of really kind of adventurous and almost proggy stuff that he's done, you know, and he's made some, you know, classic albums, you know, and countless brilliant songs. And I say he's one of my very favourite songwriters of all time. I am slightly biased, but that's how I felt before I became friends with him. So you know, so sorry about that. But anyway, you know, my expectations are high with Ginger, you know, and so when somebody says I've recorded 30 new songs, you kind of go, even somebody like Ginger, you kind of go, okay, there's going to be a few stinkers on there somewhere. But I think the astonishing thing about this is not just that he's recorded 30 songs and written 30 songs in a fairly short space of time, but that there are no bad tracks on this. It's there's no song that comes on and you kind of go and skip it. Well, not for me anyway. And I think the astonishing thing, aside from the fact that the way it's been put together and the kind of really cool PledgeMusic thing, is the fact that this is such a consistent body of work. It's quite remarkable, you know. I mean, I think my favourite records that Ginger's made are, you know, I guess Earth versus the Wildhearts is the obvious one that springs to mind. I love the Silver Ginger 5 album. I think a lot of his recent solo stuff has been phenomenal. I don't know, there's not much of his stuff that I don't love, to be honest. I mean, you know, Ginger's B-sides would make a better album than most people's, you know, greatest hits, so that's just the way it is. But anyway, I'll just quickly go through some of the tracks on this, because it's just such a brilliant mixture of stuff, you know. I mean, the one thing that everybody knows that Ginger excels at is incredibly catchy, kind of heavy rock songs, really, which I guess I've always been informed by, you know, I guess, you know, there's a lot of Cheap Trick and Ramones and you know, great rock and roll in what Ginger does, you know, and he's never been frightened to write a big tune, and there's big tunes plastered all over this fucking thing, you know, just endlessly memorable choruses. But I mean, the first track, Forget About It, is just it's just one of those. It's a classic Ginger tune, really, you know, and it will sound phenomenal on the radio. Not that any fucker will play it on the radio. That's one of the really bizarre things about Ginger, is that, you know, he's somebody who's written some of the catchiest and most memorable songs of the last 20 years, and lots of them. And yet, when was the last time you heard him played on Radio 1 or whatever? It's just mind-boggling, really. This is a man who should be fucking raking it in and playing Wembley Arena. And yet, you know, he's still, to some degree, an underground artist, which is just fucking bizarre, really. But there you go. Then the second track, Internal Radio, again, classic Ginger. Sounds very Wildheartsy, this one, I think. It's got some of those brilliant. The thing with Ginger is he's an amazing writer of tunes, but he's also an amazing writer of riffs, and it's the combination of riffs and the way one riff flows into another, and there's lots of little rhythmic twists and turns and clever things thrown into what is essentially a 3.5 minute catchy song. I think. You know, that's where the genius comes in with Ginger, really. He does an awful lot within a seemingly simple format, you know, and yet doesn't ever take away from the fact that the song is king, you know. I think that's a wonderful thing. Other brilliant tracks on the first disc of the three, Deep in the Arms of Morpheus, I think, is an absolutely fabulous kind of, it's a power ballad, really. I don't know if Ginger will appreciate me saying that, but it's just, you know, it's just got one of those choruses that will have you need to have a scarf that you wave like this, you know. It's just fucking brilliant. Powder Keg, I think, is my favourite track on the first CD. It's just a beautiful song. It's a beautiful pop rock song, you know, and like I say, would sound absolutely phenomenal blasting out the radio in your car on a summer's day. I think it's, you know, there's something about Ginger's songs. When Ginger writes a happy song or a positive, uplifting song, it's like being It's like being physically assaulted by sunshine. You know, it's wonderful. I love it. The final track on the first disc is called Time, and it's again, if you're a fan of Wildhearts records like Fishing for Luckies, for instance, where the songs were longer and it gave Ginger a chance to go off on tangents and to throw loads of riffs together and have lots of twists and turns and weird kind of quirky bits in there. Well, that's just one of those tracks. Again, it's got a beautiful melody, and the core of the song is amazing, but it's just got so many ideas crammed into it. It's about 7 minutes long, and it's just awesome. So that's the first disc. The second disc is probably the kind of bizarre one of the three, the most bizarre one of the three. It starts off with a song called Another Spinning Fucking Rainbow, which is just all kinds of wrong, really. It's got this kind of strange, distorted, funky riff thing that it goes along, and it's almost like a I don't know how to describe it, really. It's just a really fucking odd song with a really catchy chorus. It's kind of like a country rock chorus attached to a kind of cameo bleeping electro funk kind of riff. It's just odd, and has some kind of deranged backing vocals and stuff, and it's just brilliant, and not what you'd expect at all. What else on this album? Westward Ho, A New Reputation. That's another incredibly catchy song. Lover It All Work Out, again, one of those absolutely sublime, Cheap Trickish kind of radio rock songs. It's just awesome. I mean, I'm a miserable fucker at the best of times, but there's something about Ginger when he writes a really positive song that it just kind of gives me goosebumps, really. He's one of the few artists out there whose music I find genuinely uplifting on a consistent, in a consistent way. When I'm feeling dreadful, Ginger's one of the first people I think of to listen to, I've got to say. What else on this album? Return of the Northern Cardinal, that's a great track. I'm not going to describe everything because we'll be here all night. But and Taste Diversion, again, last track on it, called Taste Diversion. It's similar to Time in the sense that it's all over the place, and it's got loads of kind of riffs and a crazy midsection where it goes all bonkers and jazz and peculiar. Ginger's kind of letting his love for bands like Cardiacs kind of sneak out there, and why not? Ginger does that stuff better than most, and the lyrics are very odd on Taste Diversion as well. But anyway, it's a fabulous, fabulous track, and again, it's there's so many different vibes and atmospheres and moods within these 30 tracks that I have listened to all 30 in a row 3 or 4 times now, and it never gets boring, and every single track comes on and you go, fuck me, I love this one, unless you're a miserable prick, obviously, in which case fuck you. I know I'm a miserable prick, doesn't really work. Anyway, the final disc of the 3 starts with the track let me get the title right, the first track that was released from this whole adventurous debacle, which is called You're the One, yeah I know you're the one, brackets, yeah I know you're the one, close brackets, which of course is a fine title for a song. Beautifully catchy again, then the next track is another absolute corker as well, another one that's just like, being smacked around the head by sunshine, called Beautifully Blissfully Unsettled. Wonderful. Confusion, that's another great, kind of motoring, driving rock song. There's a ridiculous 1.5 minute punk track called Very Very Slow, which seems to be about somebody driving badly. I could be wrong, and it features what it sounds like bass player Random John Paul shouting "fuck off" at one point, which is nice. There's another big epic on there called In Vino Veritas, which again has that kind of Fishing for Luckies vibe on it. There's a fabulous kind of almost Beatlesque track called We've Been Expecting You towards the end, which is like a kind of campfire acoustic sing-along, which is absolutely beautiful. Actually, what was the track that there was another one that was that reminded me a bit of the Beatles, and I can't remember which one it is now. Oh well, doesn't matter. You probably don't like the Beatles, do you? Fucking weirdos. So there you go. And just the last track's called The End, of course, which it would be, and that's beautiful as well. I just don't know to have 30 songs. And they're all good. And every time you listen to the album, you hear something new and, like I say, uplifting. And it's just wonderful, really. The artwork is probably the best album cover I've seen in years. And it's just phenomenal. And I don't know, what can I say? It's one of those things. I don't know now how easy it's going to be if you haven't already pledged for you to get these 30 tracks. I don't know if there's going to be a triple CD version available for commercial sale at any point. And if there isn't, then I suppose the best thing to do is to wait for Ginger to cave in, and then eventually he'll release one, you know. Or you could be naughty and borrow it off somebody else or something. But yeah, if you've already pledged, then you already know all of this because you've already heard the tunes. But it's just I don't know. Music is should be a joyful experience, really, and there's something really pure and joyous and unsullied by cynicism about this whole project. You know, it's the fans paid for it. Ginger delivered the goods. It's a brilliant triple album of celebratory rock songs that kind of fit very well with the beautiful sunshine that we have, you know, and so many glorious moments on there. So there you go, Ginger Wildheart. I sincerely hope that he sent me a cheque for this because you know, we did agree. But anyway, it's, yeah, what can I say? 555%. It's one of the best things I've heard in a long time, and it's really put a smile on my face, which is no mean feat, really, given what a fucking moody cunt I am. So yes, I recommend it highly. Whether you like metal, whether you're into metal or rock or pop or anything, doesn't matter what your taste in music is. I think there's something on this record for you. And if you don't like big tunes, then really, you know, don't ever invite me to a party around your house, please. Because big tunes are kind of what it all boils down to in the end, really. As much as I like Japanese death metal. So there you go. That was an Iron Sandwich about Ginger Wildheart's 555%. I'm going to go now and probably have a poo or something. So cheers, and see you again soon.